30 years later, his brother never realized that he would slip and say that.
Here and I stood there, only as I moved away so we could have a clear shot. The shot rang out. Thank you. I turned around and then knocked him back on the balcony.
Listen. Black man in the very famous picture that was leaning over Martin Luther King, Merle McCullen, he was there at the first meeting. We didn't know at the time his job was to do two things. One was to point everybody in the wrong direction. It was him that pointed and said the shot came from there. Not only was he an undercover cop, he was so undercover that his paycheck didn't even come from the Memphis Police Department, came from the utility company. And now tonight, as we sit here, he's a CIA agent.
But we have found the capacity for him to make a weapon. See, he had the capacity to make weapons. He was dangerous. And no one can argue that the world is better off with Saddam Hussein, if Saddam Hussein were in power.
But Mr. Presley, the world is a more dangerous place today. I don't know whether you can see that or not. There are terrorist bombings every single day. It's now a daily event. It wasn't like that 2 years ago.
What was it like September the 11th, 2001? It was a relative calm.
But it's your response to Iraq that's considered.
Finish, please. You ask the questions, and I'll answer them if you don't mind.
But the people there were so dumb, and they fought so many wars and burned so many books and killed so many teachers, they had to pick up the pieces. So I want to start back with a little bit of history.
On its normal route, on its original orbit, and that original orbit of 25,920 years, they make it stand about this large ship. It had 144,000 passengers, headed by 3-4 hours, right? Without searching the galaxy for other resources for their planet. They never intended to crash into it. They never plotted until it passed by Neptune, right? And Neptune swole because of electric storms on it, right? And it caused them to veer towards Neptune. They tried to pull away from Neptune. It bumped into the planet, melded with what they call Vulcan, right? Where these sea creatures live.
That is valuable information for those of us who have the responsibility to protect the American people. He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping. He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives...
They can't even create a decent medicine. You see all the side effects they advertise? They made them about 10 years ago start advertising the side effects. There'll be 100 side effects. You see what I'm saying? From one symptom. They're into curing the symptom and not the cause, because they can't cure shit. So how the hell they gonna go to a home? See what I'm saying? That's the greatest real estate in the world. Why the hell you think they colonize your land and they can go to the moon? And you believe that?
I'm not supposed to say what I'm gonna say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret.
Science.
They're trying to kill me.
Many people, they just go by what the media say. Anything that they tell them, you know what I mean? Oh, I think he was just on drugs real bad.
Just about average. In fact, a quake the size of the one that hit Baja California last week erupts somewhere on the planet every month. But instead of hitting the middle of the ocean, which they normally do, many of these quakes have struck populated areas such as Haiti, Chile, and China, so we hear more about them. And we also have better quake detection. In 1931, there were about 350 seismograph stations in the world. Today, there are more than 8,000. Yet some still wonder if a greater force is at work.
Think, people have to think.
And they'll tell you to don't dwell on the negative. Don't dwell on the negative because everything's an illusion anyway.
Something lit up inside of me. Something illuminated inside of me. That is the beginning
of the creation of man-made religions, because all religions are man-made. No human on earth was born with a religion of any kind. All humans of all races, creeds, and color are born with an indwelling spirituality that their Creator gave to them at the time of their birth, after using their mother and father as human instruments to bring the human being into this world, giving them an indwelling spirituality. And that indwelling spirituality is in tune and in place and in touch with the omnipotent universal spiritual consciousness. In other words, that individual's Creator is inside of them. And the human being is kept in constant contact with their individual Creator by way of their pineal gland. What is a pineal gland? A pineal gland is a sensory organ that sits in the middle of your brain. And the bottom of that pineal gland is your nostrils. What do you do with your nostrils? You intake air to keep that indwelling spirit alive inside of you. And once that indwelling spirit is kept alive, then you, the human being, is kept in constant contact with your Creator. You can communicate back and forth with your Creator.
What they call the Word of God essentially was the way God spoke, through light frequencies, through images, through mediums of space and light. It has to do with the light that illuminates the darkness from the Word of God. The Word of God is light that now when crossed creates the fire or the flame of language that is spoken. We must understand the language of light. We must understand the language of light and how it communicates between the spirit, the soul, and the body.
Once people knew what went down, then they were able to do something about it. But you can't do something about something you don't know about, because you don't even know you're supposed to be doing something about it. Most people don't know the significance, what I was saying about Dr. Jeffries, and it will bring you to why this case does affect all black people. Whether you say you Nubian, Nuwabian, Moor, Hebrew, whatever you call yourself. If you got melanin in your skin and 9 ether woolly hair, it affects you. Because we often talk about how great we were, we built the pyramids, we did this, we did that, and it's always in a past pretense. You listen to all the lecturers and speakers, it's always talked about in a past pretense how great we were 10,000 years ago. I'm here now, right now. I'm here. I'm not back 10,000 years ago. I can go back there mentally, but I'm here physically right now. So what Dr. York always taught us, we have to deal with now. And what you're saying, the focus has to be on the youth, because they're the future of tomorrow. They're our future. As well as we're our present, they're our future. So one of the reasons that they brought up these particular charges against Dr. York, which is all bogus and lies, was because they studied what he taught. And his whole focus from 1970 was about the youth. The goal was to raise a certain amount of children away from this crazy society. That's why, see, we talk about unity. How are we going to be united if we're not united mentally? Because mental unity will bring about the physical unity. So if they can keep us divided mentally, you got to think, when they had us shackled and chained, why did they have us shackled and chained? Because they knew we were grabbing by the neck and strangling on the first opportunity we got. So once they got to the point where they felt it's safe to take the shackles and the physical shackles and chains off their body, they knew they had to have us mentally chained. I was walking past the precinct, for instance, and I seen a picture of, I think he was the first black police officer in New York. His name is Samuel Jesse Battle. And he became a police officer like the late 1800s, early 1900s. thinking at that time, lynching people and hanging us on poles and trees was a common occurrence every day. Now, this black man walking around with a gun, how did they have to view him mentally? Because from the description they gave him, he was a pretty big brother. Maybe like 6'6", something like that, 200-300 pounds. So he wasn't no little guy. So, in order for them to give him a gun and a uniform, while they still hanging on people from trees and lampposts and setting us on fire and everything they did, they had to know, we got this nigga mentally. He's still our slave. He's still our nigga. And that's the way they got most of us today. But one of the things Dr. York taught us, he said, if you read some of the old scrolls, they always say, coming forth to you from the Holy Tabernacle Ministries for the rebirth of the elite few, 144,000. Now, I'm not going to say if that's a literal number or whatever, but I do know there are billions of people on the planet Earth. And when you say 144,000, you're saying it's not going to be everybody. Certain people are genetically pre-encoded to wake up. What we were suffering from is called amnesia. Now, when you say am is a Hebrew word that means nation. Amnesia means forgetful. So we became a nation of forgetful people.
I can buy that.
We forgot who we were, we forgot where we came from, we forgot our names, our language, our culture, and this was scientifically programmed and stripped from us on purpose. But they knew that that dormant gene is still within us.
Now, when you say that we got to learn how to get back together unity, would you say that religion was also a tool used to divide and conquer us?
Oh, absolutely, religion.
Now listen to what you just said. Go ahead, religion.
Religion, it doesn't matter which one it is, be it Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, or any other ism. The purpose is to divide people.
So is Christianity a slave religion given to us by our slave master?
Oh, definitely.
What about Islam?
That too.
Judaism?
Oh.
Okay, so why do, now this ain't a personal attack on you. I'm saying, why do we think we getting out of a religion when we start naming ourselves Abdullah, or isn't that also a slave name? Or when we go by
the name Abdullah does mean slave or servant of Allah.
Right.
See, but you gotta remember the way we were taught through the Ansar Allah community, the Nubian Islamic Hebrew, those were schools until someone one day walks up to you and says, you have to love Jesus. You have to worship Jesus. He's the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father but by Him. Now, we take that. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father. They forgot the purpose of this Jesus character, if he or she ever existed, was to take you to the Father, the Most High, whatever name you want to call him, and they stopped at Jesus and started worshiping this Jesus character or figure. My point being, then you realize, oh, that's bullcrap. So you moved on to Islam, another degree. You came home one day, you said, Mom, I'm a Muslim.
Right.
Mom looked at you like, boy, you bugging, you forgot about Jesus and all of that stuff. Then you studied even deeper, or you might have got stuck in that school of thought, in that mental mind frame.
And a lot of our people get stuck in that thought.
Right, and if you ever, but did you ever ask the question, why do so many of our people even get caught in religion, period? Because what they did, they mixed enough truth with the falsehood. Because if it was 100% lies, you know that immediately. But if I put some truth in with the lies, and they say therein lies the truth. If I mix enough truth with the lies, you'll get confused. And the word confused, what does con mean? To go against. What is fusion? To put something together. So when you're in a state of confusion and amnesia, you're in a mental state that's against ever coming together. And then I learned that this is bullcrap. And I start going back to ancient Kemet and ancient Sumeria. And I learned about the Dogons of Mali. And I learned about the Cyrus star constellation.